This is Todd Davis. Mr. Davis is the founder and former CEO of LifeLock, and in 2007 he plastered his image along with the social security number on billboards and various advertisements throughout the country. The ad seemed to boast, "Go ahead, just try to steal my personal information. LifeLock will render your attempts useless." And if we look closer at this ad campaign, we're going to see that it actually forms the basis of what would become a $100 million settlement with the FTC for misleading advertising. This was LifeLock's original slogan after all. Stop identity theft, guaranteed. Satisfaction guaranteed. And that's a guarantee that no person, no company can realistically make. So despite Todd Davis using LifeLock to protect his own social security number, which is now plastered on ads throughout the country, the inevitable and probably unsurprising for most of you watching this thing occurred. His identity was stolen multiple times. I guess the lesson is maybe protect your social security number even if you are using an identity theft protection service. So join me, Brandon, as we examine LifeLock's past, present, and future and seek to answer the question, is LifeLock even worth it in 2022? Yes, it is by far the most well-known identity theft protection service on the market, but is it actually any good? No, it's not. I'm going to tell you that right now. And in this review, we're going to jump into the specifics of why LifeLock is not a product that I would recommend to anybody in 2022. And I'm going to give you some better alternatives if you are looking for an identity theft protection service. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to admit that this review is definitely colored by LifeLock's checkered past. I mean, they had a $100 million settlement brought against them by the FTC. It's really hard to overlook that. And yes, people can change, companies can and do change, but I'll admit to feeling a little bit biased against the LifeLock product even before I began this review. In 2016, LifeLock was actually acquired by the tech giant Norton. So a massive settlement behind them, a big acquisition more recently behind them. Let's take a look at the LifeLock product today in 2022 and see what it actually looks like. Okay, so if you are new to Home Security Heroes, you should know that we look at three things, broadly speaking, in every one of our reviews. The first thing we look at is monitoring. How effectively does a product monitor your personal information, whether it's your SSN, your email address, your physical home address, home title, etc. Does this product actually do a good job of keeping tabs on your personal info? The next thing that we weight very heavily in every one of our reviews is a company's threat resolution capability. So in other words, if your identity is stolen, is this company really going to be able to help you reclaim your identity? And are they going to effectively walk you through that often very stressful and convoluted process? And then the third thing that we weigh really heavily is cost. Is this actually a product that's going to be worth it for you, for your family, for your loved ones? First, just starting with the actual design of the product, how does LifeLock look once you're signed up? So the LifeLock dashboard, it's relatively easy to navigate. It does display all of the features that I signed up for on their top tier plan, from device security to identity theft protection to cloud backups. And do note that cloud backups, VPN, antivirus, these are all going to be extra add-ons that are going to bring your cost up quite a bit with LifeLock, whereas other competitors, Aura, Identity Guard, ID Shield, they include all of these with the exception of cloud backup as part of their core plans. Okay, so clicking just one layer into the identity theft protection dashboard, that's where you're going to see your dark web alerts, your credit score, and identity lock all in a single view. And overall, it's a somewhat dated design, but it's pretty intuitive and easy to navigate. But as I was soon to discover, certain features delivered by LifeLock really lack substance. So overall, the LifeLock product doesn't have a beautiful design. It is a little dated, but it's relatively easy to navigate. And that's the last good thing I'm going to say about LifeLock. Moving into dark web alerts, this was the first time when I was really disappointed by the substance or lack of substance offered by the LifeLock product. So the design is fine. I actually like that you can filter on different alert types. So I can see dark web alerts, credit alerts, and transaction monitoring all in one view. And it's very easy to archive alerts. So the actual user interface design here, I would rate highly, but the problem is that it actually uncovered only one alert. So to get just one dark web alert from a product that promises a lot was hugely disappointing. And the one alert I got was related to the Adobe hack way back in 2013. LifeLock missed all sorts of subsequent hacks in which my email address or other personal info had been exposed, such as the Canva hack, the LinkedIn hack, the Tumblr hack, etc. So for reference, because we do like these apples to apples comparisons with Aura and with Identity Guard, I got 35 alerts after my initial scan. Those were all dark web alerts, and 15 of those 35 were completely unique. With Identity Force, I got 19 dark web alerts after my initial scan, and 7 of those alerts were unique. And with ID Shield, I got 24 alerts, 8 of which were unique. With LifeLock, again, just 1 alert. Wow. Another peeve that I have with LifeLock's dark web monitoring is that you are limited to inputting only 5 email addresses, and most other products are going to offer you the ability to input at least 10. Okay, so the credit section is probably the highlight of the LifeLock product. LifeLock uses Vantage Score. If you're unfamiliar with Vantage Score, it's a blended score from the 3 big credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And it's basically a competitor to the FICO score, which you might be more familiar with. So in the credit section of LifeLock, you're clearly going to see your blended Vantage Score. And one feature that's nice that is not necessarily offered by other competitors is you can lock your credit at TransUnion directly from the LifeLock dashboard, and that's definitely a very useful feature. Now, some of you might be considering signing up for identity theft protection services like LifeLock because you want to opt out of data brokers. Data brokers are what they sound like. They are websites that traffic in your personal information and publish it on the internet for all to see. Now, under LifeLock's Privacy Monitor section, I basically got 117 results of sites that had personally revealing information about me. It was also interesting to discover that I was simultaneously 48 years old, 39 years old, 19 years old, and that my addresses were in Virginia Beach, Kansas City, and Seattle, Washington, none of which are places where I've actually lived. Clearly, LifeLock does not do a good job of monitoring these data broker websites. In fact, the technology, the AI, if we could even call it that, I'm not sure how intelligent it actually is, doesn't even understand that I am one person with one name, with one birth date, and instead it shows me the results of a bunch of different individuals. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you are going to be greeted with an upsell for the Privacy Monitor Assistant, which is an additional $50 a year, and which will apparently opt me out of some of these data broker websites, which sounds nice in theory, but I'd much rather go with a product like Aura. You can check the link in the video description below. They have automated data broker opt-out as a core feature for their main product. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. And this is one of my frustrations with using the LifeLock identity theft protection product. I felt like it's just sort of peppered with upsells throughout the whole process of using it, whether it's for the antivirus from Norton, whether it's for cloud backups, or whether it's for this privacy monitor, which, to be honest, if I'm paying well over $300 a year for a family plan for an identity theft protection service, I would expect that data broker opt-outs would be included in that, as they are with a product like Aura. One thing I will say that's nice about LifeLock is that if you go with the family plan, it does apply coverage of up to $1 million per adult on the Ultimate Plus policy, not total, so that does give it a slight advantage there against other plans that are capped at $1 million total, regardless of the number of people on the plan. Now let's talk about LifeLock's threat resolution capabilities. Threat resolution is basically also referred to as white glove concierge service by other companies on the market. They essentially all say that they are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you in the event that your identity is breached. And a very simple test that I always run when I'm reviewing these products is I call them and I see how quickly can I get in touch with somebody. And it's almost always the case that I can reach a qualified US-based rep in less than 2 minutes. Not the case with LifeLock. And so what you see on the screen here is essentially a customer support loop. I couldn't find anywhere within the LifeLock dashboard to get in touch with a threat resolution specialist. So I know that if I had purchased a product and if I had actually had my identity breached, first, I wouldn't be very confident that LifeLock would alert me to it in a timely fashion. And second, even if they had, I definitely would not be confident that I'd be able to get on the phone with somebody who could help me resolve my hair on fire urgent problem in a reasonable time frame. Again, this is where we are reminded that LifeLock is owned by Norton. It's part of a giant tech conglomeration at this point. So if you do have an emergency as a LifeLock customer, first, it's going to be difficult to get in touch with them, in my experience at least. And second, when you do, you are going to be talking to a call center rep in India or the Philippines. Nothing against either of these countries or the many awesome customer support reps who are in them, but it sucks to be transferred from department to department to department with somebody who doesn't necessarily have a great command of English while your identity has just been stolen.
I'll definitely transfer you to my supervisor who will give you the same information I just gave you.
As an example, as part of this review, I wanted to upgrade to the LifeLock Ultimate Plus family plan to test it out. And I wanted to get antivirus included so that I could see what that product is like as well. And this took me 45 minutes. I wasn't able to make the simple upgrade online and instead had to call in and was transferred from department to department, 5 transfers total. And eventually I was able to finally make that upgrade after having been given probably 2 or 3 different price quotes for the same product. So this was a disorienting and disconcerting experience. And remember, I'm somebody who's like trying to give the company money, and I felt like I had to navigate this maze. So it's certainly not a maze that I'd want to walk through if my identity had been stolen. Now, we also like to look at consumer sentiment when reviewing different identity theft protection services here at Home Security Heroes, because at the end of the day, I'm one person. My experience is not necessarily representative of the experience that other people are going to have with the product. So we try to get an aggregate measure of how good of a job a product does. And for that, we look to Trustpilot and we look at the total number of reviews, the average score on Trustpilot, and then the percent of excellent and percent of bad reviews. So looking at Norton LifeLock on Trustpilot, they actually have the lowest score. It's a 4 out of 5. That's based on over 1,600 reviews, and 63% of people rate them as excellent, 15% rate them as bad. So this is also underwhelming. Clearly the market feels that LifeLock is not as good of a product as Aura, Identity Guard, Identity Force, or ID Shield, all of which are products that have received better scores on Trustpilot. One thing that I do appreciate about LifeLock is they are transparent mostly with their pricing. When you sign up, you can see clearly what you're going to pay year 1, and that's going to be heavily discounted. And then you can see what it's going to renew at in year 2. If you want the Ultimate Plus plan for one person and you click the link in our video description below and go through that, you are going to pay $21.99 per month if paid monthly, and that's going to renew at $35.99 per month the year after. And you can compare that to Aura, which is only $15 a month if paid monthly, and which is a more feature-rich and better product overall. So I would say LifeLock is definitely on the more expensive end when it comes to identity theft protection services, especially when you factor in that it doesn't include VPN, it doesn't include antivirus as part of the core package. For that, you're gonna have to upgrade. And for me, I ended up paying $53 a month for Ultimate Plus family plan, including VPN, antivirus, and cloud backup. So it's pretty expensive. If you want to know more about LifeLock pricing, go ahead and watch this video here, and I'm going to be breaking down the pricing and plans in detail. So what's my conclusion? I think it should be pretty obvious to those of you out there watching this now that I would avoid LifeLock. I'd go with Aura instead. I'd go with ID Shield. I would go with one of the many other competitors out there that just have more robust monitoring capabilities, that have a cleaner track record, and that have US-based threat resolution specialists, which is really the core of any good identity theft protection service. LifeLock is the classic incumbent tech company that used to have a decent product and now no longer does, and probably needs to go into retirement. The dark web monitoring especially is atrocious. The pricing is on the higher end, and the threat resolution is just not something that I'm going to be confident in. So personally, I like Aura. I think it's the best product on the market. And if you want to claim a discount, go ahead, click the link in the video description below. If you are still interested in LifeLock, the next video that's going to play is going to be on LifeLock's pricing. So keep watching, that's going to play next, and we'll see you in the next video. This is Brandon from Home Security Heroes. Thank you for your time, and see you soon. Bye.